Hi, I'm Sarah Williams, romance author and independent publisher at Serenade Publishing. Today I'm talking to action romance author Anna Hackett. Thanks for joining me, Anna.
Thanks, Sarah. It's super fun to be here.
Excellent. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to publication?
Sure thing. So I was never one of those kids that wanted to be a writer. I've met so many writers since I've started who grew up wanting to be writers and writing stories since they could hold a pen. But that wasn't me. I was a reader, and and a big romance reader. So I've always been reading. I've always got a book and now a Kindle with me. So yeah, so that's where my passion for writing came from. So yeah, just one day I decided, maybe I'd have a try at writing a story of my own. So at the time I was working full time as a mining engineer. That was my first career. So yeah, so I sort of did that on weekends and did my writing on weekends and outside of work. And I ended up getting some stories published with Harlequin. I was writing paranormal romance and short stories at the time, so with their Nocturne line. So that was really great experience working with an editor, cover artist, all that kind of stuff. And I then switched to writing for Carina Press, which is another imprint of Harlequin. And that's where I started writing my science fiction romance through there. And yeah, and then finally, that's when self-publishing was really starting to explode, and I thought, oh, I might dip my toe in these waters and see what this was all about. So I did self-publish some novellas and it was novellas writing what I really loved to write, and that was action romance. So for me, I finally got the chance to sit down and just write what I really wanted to write rather than trying to fit in with guidelines for a particular imprint or a particular line with a publisher. So that was super fun and I loved it. And by then I was starting to get some readers reading my books, and I really wanted to get the books out to them faster. And I think the last book with my publisher had taken over a year from when I'd sold it to it actually releasing. And I thought, I think I can do this a bit quicker and get some more of these stories that I wanted to write out. Yeah, and that's where it started. And I've never looked back. So now I left my full-time job as an engineer 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago. And yeah, like I said, not looking back. So full-time author now and loving it.
Excellent. Congratulations on being a full-time author. I know that's a big step a lot of people aspire to do. So yay. So you write science fiction and action. So
yay, yeah.
So tell us what writing is, science fiction and action. How is that?
So I guess I've always been, I've always loved action movies. I always joke that my husband's the luckiest husband in the world because we never fight over what movie we're going to go and see at the movies. We always want to see the same thing. So I've always loved action movies, but I've always read romance. And I used to read a lot of action adventure thrillers as well, but they never had enough romance in them. So that was probably one of those things that really spurred me to write my own. And often a lot of the romances I read, while they were great stories, didn't quite have the action and adventure feel that I wanted in them. So, for me, it was writing the stories that I couldn't always find or couldn't find easily. Yeah, I was reading a lot of paranormal romance because they tend to have a lot more action and stuff going on. Yeah, and then I fell into I'd always been a sci-fi fan, but I fell into reading some science fiction romance, which tends to be a smaller genre. It hasn't had its heyday yet, like paranormal romance or contemporary romance. But yeah, you just get to let your imagination run wild. And yeah, and coming from an engineering background, doing a little science research isn't too difficult. Not that science fiction romance are packed full of science. I think a lot of people are afraid to pick them up and try them because they think they're going to get a science lecture or something, but it's not like that at all. Yeah, so now two of my main series are science fiction romance, and then I also have a contemporary action adventure. I like to call them my Indiana Jones romances, so treasure hunting and that kind of thing in, you know, modern day. So the first book's set in Egypt, and there's some set in South America, all over the place. So
excellent.
Yeah,
what's
I'm
that
having
book
lots
called?
of fun with that, and writing, I guess, what I was. So Treasure Hunter Security is the series, and Undiscovered, the first book, which is currently free at the moment. So, yeah, but not forever, but it is free at the moment. Undiscovered, yeah. So, yeah, we have a group of security specialists, former Navy SEALs, of course, who, you know, are providing security for archaeological digs and exhibitions at museums, and expeditions into jungles and mountains and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I have lots of fun. I get to put a little ancient history in there as well, so that's always fun too. So yeah.
Fantastic. And tell me, do you like having heroic males? Is it the male who's doing all the running and chasing and bombing and, you know, the fun stuff, or do the girls get to do a bit too?
No, the girls get to do their fair share as well. So, yeah, look, I like to say I have strong heroes. You know, they're not always the alpha male soldier, but I've got a fair few of those. But I do like to mix it up a bit. But, yeah, and then I like to always say I have smart heroines. So they get to do their fair share of saving the day, saving the hero sometimes, and defeating the bad guys. So yeah, so I think there's a good mix in there. I have a few kick butt heroines as well. Not all of them, but yeah, a few of them can hold their own with the guys as well. So.
Fantastic. And you're a prolific writer. You try and get one out every couple of months. Now, how do you do that when I know you're a mum and a wife as well? So how do you manage to write so prolifically?
Yeah, so I average about one a month, or so yeah, so it keeps me pretty busy, and I've worked up to that. So I tell new authors that I talk to, I didn't just wake up one day and decide I was going to write a book a month, and bam, I could do that. So it's, you know, like anything in life, you need to do that bit of training and start making it a regular habit, and then you can start increasing that word count every day. So for me now, it's a full-time job. So I write when my boys are at school and daycare. So I do work around their schedule. That's not to say that there aren't some nights when everyone's gone to bed and I'm staying up to catch up on a deadline that I'm behind on, or get up early to get an hour of writing in before I get the boys up to get them to school. But yeah, it's just building that habit. It's writing every day or editing every day. And I do some dictation now. That doesn't necessarily mean I write faster, but it means I'm not always on the keyboard. So it helps save my hands. You know, if you're writing, you know, my books are also shorter. So I call them short novels. They're around 50,000 words. So, yeah, so I do 50,000 words every month. So I do a NaNoWriMo every month, essentially. So, yeah, I don't sign up for NaNoWriMo. Yeah, so, and look, like anything, if you do a little bit every day and then you get to the end of the month, the book's done. So, yeah, and I love what I do. And I think that's the key thing. If I was writing something I didn't love, I don't think I would be able to keep it up and love what I'm doing. So, you know, people talk about burning out, and I think that happens if you're doing things that aren't, I guess, feeding your passion or feeding your soul, or those things that make you really happy. So I write what I love to write. I have rabid readers that are always waiting for the next one, so they keep me very motivated as well, knowing that they're counting down to the next book helps. I also am juggling multiple series, so that means that I can move from one, you know, do one or two books in one series and switch and write one or two books in another series, so that keeps it fresh for me. I can go from a contemporary action adventure romance, sort of romantic suspense, and then the next month I'm writing, you know, about post-apocalyptic alien invasion is one of my other series that's set in Australia, actually. So, and then the next month I'm writing something completely different as well. So I think that helps too. If I was writing books in the same series, you know, every month, I think, you know, that would get boring after a while. So I'm lucky that I can move between the series. So yeah.
And do you find your readers read just the series they like, or they like all your series? And how does that work for them, do you know?
I have found that in general, the core group of my readers go between all my series. And I think part of that is, part of what I offer when you pick up an Hackett book is there's action, there's adventure, there's romance, there's the strong heroes, there's the smart heroines, and that's the same whether the series is, got spaceships in it or not. So some of them, I hear a lot of comments where they've come in from one series and they loved it, and they were afraid to try one of my other series because they didn't think they'd like it. Then they have, and they've loved it, and they've gone on to read everything else. So, and I'm sure there's some people that just stick to a certain series, and there's some people that say, they love this, but they're not really science fiction readers. So, but I'm lucky that the vast majority of them do go across all the series. So
excellent. And your readers seem to be really important to you. Are they from around the world, or are they just Australian based, or how do you connect with them?
So majority of my readership is in the US. And I guess for me, I started with, my editor was in New York. I started with Harlequin, and then moved to Carina Press. So I was, I've always written with American spelling, and I was actually living in the US when I started writing. So, I've always switched between the spellings. That's never bothered me. So when I started self-publishing, I just made the decision to stick with that. And most of my readers, a lot of them are surprised when they hear I'm Australian. So they don't realise initially that, it hasn't been part of my brand because I haven't necessarily been writing stories, set in Australia or rural romance or things like that have a very Aussie flavour. I do have one series which is, like I said, it's set in an alien invasion, and it is set in a destroyed Australia, just outside of Sydney. So I get to put a few little Aussie-isms in that, but it's a little futuristic. So the world sort of people are traveling a lot more, so it's got a real mix of nationalities in the series. So most of my readers are in the US. My next biggest reader group is the UK, and then Australia. And that's just the way it's panned out. Like, I've never targeted particular readers in any particular location. That's just who's found my books and picked them up. I obviously have a mailing list, and they hear from me a couple of times a month. So when I have a new book out, and then usually mid-month when I'm doing a cover reveal for that book, I like to run lots of fun giveaways related to the books, usually signed paperbacks. Readers seem to love signed paperbacks. So, I try and find fun things related to my book. So I have a series centered around gladiators in space. So I found an awesome gladiator calendar. So that was our last giveaway. They loved that. So I also have a Facebook group, reader group, which I started beginning of this year. So we're not even a year old yet, but the 1 year anniversary will be coming up in January, and they are brilliant. So really great group. We have lots of fun in there. I do share like little exclusive behind the scenes stuff. They get a few early exclusive teasers, that kind of thing. So they're awesome. So they keep me super motivated. They're always asking when the next book's out. Can they get a peek of it? Can they read the first chapter? Also sharing things like, images they think match certain heroes or heroines in my stories, fan art, all that kind of stuff. So fan fiction, sometimes they write. There are a few in there that write some fan fiction scenes. So lots of fun. Readers are important. For me, that's the reason I'm here. So, I write the stories I love to write, but it is so much fun when you've got people who actually want to read those stories. So, so for me, every decision I make is what makes it easier for my reader. So, I have some series that are available at all retailers, Amazon, iBooks, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Books. I also have some that are exclusive to Amazon. I have a good readership in Kindle Unlimited as well. So I try to do a balance. I try to run some series through Kindle Unlimited before they go wide, that kind of thing, because I want to make sure I've got things available for all the readers and make it easier for all the readers. So I tend to make decisions based on what's best for my reader, not necessarily what's best for me. And that's really worked out well for me as well. So I hear so many authors sometimes, arguing points about what's better for them as an author. And you do need to consider that. But at the end of the day, for me, doing what's best for my readers has been what's best for me too. So yeah,
that's some really brilliant advice. And you've got to keep those readers in mind, don't you? They're your bread and butter. That's what you're trying to get it to. So I know you've gone a step further and you've done some merchandise that's available through your website. I was having a look and that's just brilliant. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, that's been quite recent, again, just this year. So I had readers asking, they were really keen to have T-shirts and mugs and all that kind of stuff. So I did finally get organised, and I actually commissioned an artist to do some custom artwork for some of my characters in one of my main series, Hell Squad. So some brilliant artwork. And I've got all the original actual painting. She paints the originals, and then we make prints. So I've got the artwork available, and then some of those I obviously have the commercial rights for, so that I can put them on mugs or put them. So my phone case, I have a Hell Squad phone case with some of my characters. My mouse pad that goes with me everywhere to the coffee shops and wherever when I'm writing. T-shirts, a whole bunch of different things. So, and a lot of it the readers requested, can we have a T-shirt? Can we have a phone cover for this? Can we do this? So I tried to get a good little mix of products available. I use Zazzle. There's a few different stores that offer the blank products, and then you can add the images too. So you only make a few % royalties. But again, for me, it wasn't about that. It was more for having something cool and fun for the readers to purchase. And I can also get those to do giveaways and cool stuff for the readers too. So, so that's been lots of fun. So I'm just waiting on some more custom artwork now to do for one of my other series. So we'll put a few things in there for some of the other series as well. Yeah. So lots of fun.
That's brilliant, because we hear so often, especially as indies, how we need multiple streams of income, and that's another one that is just a great initiative on your behalf that you've done that. That's really, really clever. Also on your artwork, your covers are just beautiful. Do you design those yourself, or do you have time?
No, artwork and graphics is not my area of expertise, so I leave that to the experts. I do some of my own teasers leading up to a release. The week before, I'll do a few teasers on Facebook. So I know enough to be dangerous, and I know enough to really plague my cover artist. But she's pretty patient with me. So I had worked with a couple of artists, and then Melody Simmons does the majority of my covers now, and we've got a pretty good, she knows what I like, and I know the kind of things she can do. So but I do give her, I like to have come up with a good concept and idea and branding for a particular series, and then I get her input as well. So I do have a fair bit of input into what I want them to look like and how I want the series to be branded, and then I throw all that at her and she works her magic. So I love it. I love having that input into the covers, and I spend a lot of time looking at covers in my genre and covers that I like, covers that are selling well, covers that readers are obviously responding to, and putting together a cover that I think gives the right feel for my story. I think a lot of times covers can get quite busy because we're trying to recreate a scene from the book or match it to the book too much. And I think, it's got to be something simple that grabs people's attention up front and communicates what's inside that book very quickly. So if you can get that, get that simple message across quickly and get the right feel for your story, I think that resonates with readers more. Because, nowadays readers are looking at a tiny little, picture of your cover on Amazon or whatever website they're on. They're not looking at it beautiful and big like we do when we're looking at drafts from our cover designer. So you've got to make sure that I shrink mine down, I colour them black and white, I make sure I look at them in lots of different ways to make sure that they're popping the way that I want them to. So yeah. And then I have some fun as well.
That's it. They're gorgeous, and you must keep her very, very busy, your designer.
Luckily, she is so fast, so she turns a cover around in a day or two for me. So, but like I said, we've been working together a couple of years now, and she knows what I like and what I don't like, and she can quickly put something together and is generally spot on. Although I am prone to then, right before a cover reveal, can we just tweak one more thing or add one more thing? So that's where I think I drive her a bit crazy, but she always comes out with a great design at the end, which is awesome.
That's it. So you've got a professional cover designer. Do you have a professional editor as well? Do you get everything professionally edited before you put it out?
I do, and I've been working with her for several years now. So she's in Canada. So my cover designer's in South Africa. My editor is in Canada. She's a former Harlequin editor who went freelance. So so we've I've been working with her a long time as well. So, I think that's part of the self-publishing. You're essentially creating your own business, and over time you develop relationships with people. And for me, I made sure that I pay everyone up front and I give them good instructions, and I'm very professional about that because I want them to keep wanting to work with me. So, my editor's been very understanding when I am getting close to a deadline and I'm a few days behind. She's gotten used to that. But this year especially, I've made more of an effort to make sure I'm on time. I haven't always, but usually I get thrown off, if I've got a sick child or there's some other disaster I hadn't planned for on the personal side of things. Writing a book a month, if I miss a few days, I do get behind. So I've got to, sometimes do some acrobatics to get back onto my schedule. So, but I have a great editor, and she is, like I said, we've been working together a long time, and she knows how I work and I know how she works. So we've got it sort of running pretty smoothly now.
That's it. That's fantastic. And very few independent authors do everything themselves. So we've got to use the professionals for things like that. So it's brilliant. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for that.
I think
today.
too.
Yep.
Oh, I was just going to say, to your point of not doing everything yourself, and I think that's an important point, because we need to be writing the books, and there are some business things that we obviously need to take care of as well, but you need to use the professionals, and sometimes you need to clear things off your plate as well, so you can focus on getting the next book finished, because that is the thing that's going to have the biggest impact for your readers and the biggest impact for your writing and your business as well, is to get that next book out. So that's what I've tried to do, is prioritize that. The vast majority of my time is spent on writing the next book, and not doing things that don't always add any value or are time consuming, or I can get somebody else to do for me. So so my team of people that I have around me are vitally important. So
that is fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that. And where can we find you online?
So my website's my main point of contact, I guess. So that's annahackettbooks.com. And I've got all my other contact stuff on there. But I'm on Facebook. And mainly my author page. I do post stuff on there, and I also have my my reader squad, which is my reader group. So, and fantastic group. I love it in there. They're super enthusiastic and they're always in there posting stuff every day. And we have a lot of giggles and a lot of fun. So, so they're great. I'm on Twitter as well. I like Twitter. So I get on there. So, and that's more conversational or just sharing a few fun things that I see around on Twitter. So, yeah, so I do pop into Twitter when I can. But they're my main ones, and I'm not branching out into any other ones because I don't have any time. So everyone's like, "Are you on Instagram?" I'm like, I can't add another one. Facebook and Twitter, and on my website. So
you've got to book a month to get out.
I do answer all my emails myself. So I do. That's right. But if anyone does email me, I do get back to them when I can, not always instantaneously, but you know, I do have get a lot of reader emails too. So I make sure I get back to people via email as soon as I can.
Fantastic. And
as soon as the words are done.
I really recommend everyone goes and checks out her website because it is just an absolutely brilliant website. I was just enraptured by all the beautiful pictures and lots of information, Q&As and everything. So if you know, go and have a look. And I think you give away a free box set as well if people sign up to your mailing list.
I do. So it's just a way for people to taste test my writing, I guess. So I've got a book. It's a box set of 3 books from 3 of my different series. So that way they can sort of dip their toe in and see if my writing suits them. And like I said, I email about twice a month. So usually with a cover reveal and a giveaway, and then, you know, when I have a new book out. So yeah, so if anyone wants to sign up for my mailing list, then pop over there and I'll send you your free box set.
And the covers have muscly, gorgeous men on the cover, so they sell it right there.
Because why not? We all need a few muscly, gorgeous guys in there. Yeah, look, you know, as with my writer hat on, muscly chests help sell. They seem to capture readers' attention. I put my reader hat on. I kind of like looking at them, so I'm not going to lie about that. It also suits my stories, you know. So some have girls on there too. So, but yeah, I write a sexy heat level in my romance, so I think that's reflected in the covers as well. So, yeah, so excellent. I like them.
That's it. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today, Anna.
No problem. Thanks so much for having me, Sarah. And yeah, like I said, if anyone wants to get in touch, ask any questions or sign up and grab my box set, then just pop over to annahackettbooks.com is where you can find me. So
excellent. And I'll put the links under the vlog as well. So thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.